Okay, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Dish with Devani. If you want to type in the comments below, let us know that you are here and you're listening and watching. That would be amazing. And where you are tuning in from around the world would be super helpful. And I'm so excited for today's episode because I have the amazing Heather Box with me here today. And I just adore Heather. She's up to some amazing things in her business, and she's really stretched herself a lot this year, and she's done so much to get outside of her comfort zone. And I want to share this. I want to bring you behind the scenes as far as what she's done, what's working for her, how she was able to go from working one-on-one to launching a one-to-many program, and all these things that I know a lot of you dream about doing, and you have this vision for this. And I think it'll be super helpful for you to know how all of this kind of works and how it's worked for her and her unique business. Okay, so to introduce Heather, so she is a writer, a storyteller, a teacher who teaches artists, activists, and entrepreneurs how to identify their deepest values and use their passion to connect with the people they are most meant to serve. She is the founder and CEO of the Million Person Project, a company that supports change makers in exploring, identifying, and delivering their powerful personal stories. And the storytellers that she's worked with have gone to speak at TED Talks, United Nations, CNN, BBC, like all these incredible things. So welcome, Heather. Thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit in a nutshell, like how did you get started in this line of work?
Yeah, so I started this company 6 years ago, and I started it with my partner, Julian Mosine McQueen, and we were activists. We were working on different issues, on environmental issues, on issues affecting young people, and we would travel all over the world as activists. And we would go, say, for example, to the United Nations Conference on Climate Change. And we would go as part of these global cohorts of young people, and we would get to meet all of these amazing people from all over the world doing such good work. And they would say like, hey, Heather and Julian, come to our panel tomorrow, come to our keynote. We're going to be sharing about our work. And we would go there, and having had the opportunity to connect with them and really get to know them, we were so excited. Of course we'd be there. And then they would get up on stage and it would be like, wah, wah. Like,
oh no.
And we were like, afterwards we'd be like, where'd you go? Like, what about your story? What about the passion? What about the things that are actually driving you? And they're like, oh, no one wants to hear about that. Or they really said one of two things, like, my story feels way too personal to share, like too sad, too much, TMI, or I don't even really know my story or how I would ever begin to share it in connection with my work. And so that's how Julian and I started building this company, is realizing we can help them through our curriculum to navigate from those places and to realize that their story and their truth has immense power. Mm-hmm. And it's really what helps their audience connect to them. And that's what we want. We want to feel connected to the person who we're speaking to.
Yes.
So that's how we started.
Cool. Very cool. And then you were mostly doing your business offline. Like you didn't really have a presence. You weren't doing much marketing online. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we mostly were working through the networks that we had been activists in. And so we were doing one-on-one coaching. We were doing live workshops, and we were even taking a couple months sometimes and going abroad to work, in Uganda with a specific group of farmers or climate activists. We would get grants to go do that, or someone would sponsor it. And so, really, like, we were completely offline. Like, we delivered our curriculum in, in those little third grade folders that you had when you were in third grade.
Yeah.
Pocket. I didn't have a smartphone until last summer. I had a flip phone. Like, we were as offline as, that was not our focus at all. Yeah. And it wasn't the way our business was growing. We were spreading through word of mouth and through referrals.
Okay.
It was great.
And that worked wonderfully. Like, I bet, to build an incredible foundation.
Right.
Because those are the best relationships, is when you're working with people one-on-one, right? In person.
Yeah. And it was really powerful work. And it was a great way for Julian and I to like really understand our curriculum and how to deliver it when you can see someone and feel it. And so we just hammered home. I mean, we worked with, before we went online, we had worked with 1,500 people from 67 different countries.
Wow.
And so we knew our curriculum inside and out. We almost tweaked it every single time we did a training.
Yeah.
And we got to the point where we realized like this can be delivered in video series or in online in other ways. Mm-hmm. We were confident by that point that it was strong enough and that we knew like where the pitfalls that people fall into when they're exploring their story or telling their story, that we could address that stuff in a curriculum that could be delivered without us every step of the way.
Okay. Awesome. And so then you had a light bulb moment of the whole online world,
right?
And getting your business online. And that can be like, wow, how do I even start climbing this mountain? Like, what was your first steps? Did you just fiddle around, or kind of what did that look like as far as taking your first steps into the online world?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that was so interesting about this whole journey for me of getting online was I realized, okay, I don't really have an email list, and the people I do have on the email list, I don't really email very often. Like I said, I don't have a smartphone. I'm not online that much at the time. And so what the light bulb moment for me was, I'm so passionate about working with the people who want to do this work. And when we get to go abroad and work with people, for months on the ground, it's so inspiring. And there was this moment that I had where I realized, whoa, if I'm willing to show up online, like we can do this from our house in San Francisco. Like we can have this global community around us, and have that be our work on the regular. And how dynamic and cool would that be when our group programs are people from all over the world sharing their stories together and going on this journey together? Like, that's amazing. And so the first step that I took was to do a interview series.
Okay.
And this was last year. And I interviewed all of my mentors, all of my story gurus. It was like a really big process of me interviewing these people. But what the biggest sort of personal step was, I realized I was kind of hiding. Like, it was scary for me to just make something online that exists forever.
Yeah.
It wasn't scary for me to get up in front of even hundreds of people in person. But once the forever part was entered, I started to feel, like one-sided communication. Like it started to realize that I was really embarrassed about that. And I felt weird and I felt shy, all these things that I don't normally feel. I'm not really so shy, but online I really was. So coming out to go on video and do those interviews was a big sort of coming out party for me. And I just encourage everybody out, like the amount that's changed in the last year since I've started to be willing to go online has been such a personal growth, like opportunity for me. It's about being seen and allowing myself to be seen. Like, even if I lose my train of thought or I stumble over my words on a live video, like, who cares?
Yeah.
And work is about people being seen in all of who they are, the good, the bad, and the unthinkable. So this was a really important part for me to stay in integrity with myself too.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a true and deep conversation, and one that I've been in a lot lately. Is there's something, especially with us women, of being seen online, and some deep-rooted fears with that, and the ability of like being judged and not having that sense of two-way. I mean, yes, some of you are on live, and those of you join us, definitely say hello in the comments. That would mean a lot. And we know that you're here, and share some hearts, give us some hearts. But it is scary, and there's so much inner growth that happens when you decide, okay, I have to do this because my soul is calling me to do this, and I have to get out of my head. I have to get out of my ego. I have to get out of the fear of this judgment, and I just got to say screw it, and I got to do it anyways. And it's freeing. For you to step up and do those interviews, for you to step up and do what we'll talk about with your sales funnel, like all of those things. It's so much growth.
So it has been so much growth.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I love that you started. So those of you that aren't familiar with what she's talking about with an interview series, which is an online summit. And this is a strategy that's been around for a long time now in the online world, but it's really, really brilliant strategy for connecting with other people that are top experts in your industry, networking with them, interviewing them, and having everybody email and promote this event. So Heather's end goal was to build her email list. So I think that it's so smart, because the number one thing people do when they get online is they're like, how do I grow my Facebook page? How do I grow my Instagram channel? And I think all of those are great, but one of your top priorities should be building your database and building your email list. And that's what I'm constantly preaching, is how do you leverage social media to get people into your database, right? So brilliant with that. And I want to talk about your social media sales funnel. So after you launched an online summit, you went through that process. You came to me, you saw me, I think you originally came across me when I spoke at an event, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I shared my online challenge strategy, which is social media sales funnel. So it's basically taking somebody through a 5 or 10 or 14-day series of you giving somebody a piece and a taste of what it's like to work with you and bringing them through a process. So you saw me talk, you reached out, and then you joined my Launch Your Online Challenge course. Now let's talk about that, because that is also a whole other animal. What was your goal with that challenge?
Okay. And so my goal with that challenge was to grow my email list, but to grow my email list specifically with people who want to tell their own story. So one of the challenges I have in my work is that there are people who love storytelling and want to hear other people's stories and tune in to the moth, every week, this and that, but they're not really feeling a calling to tell their own story, which is fun. Like, I want to encourage them to, right? Yeah. But I was specifically looking for people who wanted support in telling their own story. And so that was the light bulb that went off when I saw you speak, was like, wow, this is such a smart way to build online, because the people that will come through the challenge, they're signing up for a challenge that is, it was a 5-day tell your personal story boot camp. So they already said, I want to do that work. Mm-hmm. And so then it became this community of people who are hungry for the tools that I have and the expertise that Julian and I share.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many people did you have join your challenge?
So we had over 530 or something people join our challenge, and it was just amazing because, we put it together. I joined what was that, only 6 weeks or 2 months, the program.
Yeah.
And it was a short program. And so we just put everything together. Boom, boom, boom. I followed every single one of your weekly steps, create a lead page like this, create a Facebook ad that looks like this. It was so helpful for me to have this so specific, step-by-step, video guidance of how to create the challenge, because as I said, I'm not a super techie. So I was able to just follow it. And within, 6 weeks or something, I had my challenge ready to go and I had people signing up, and I was so confident that I could deliver the content of the challenge, the 5-day challenge, because that's what I do all day anyway. But I wasn't confident that I could make it look legit online. And, and so your program really helped me to do that. And it was I was so pleased with myself.
You did awesome. And what I loved is that we really got very specific. I just want to share this with everyone, very specific with the copy, like on your landing page and in your promotions that you're doing of, I'm speaking to change makers. I'm speaking to aspiring speakers. So it was very, very niched of, I want people that are ready to take their story and tell it and get on stage and do all of those things.
Yeah, and it was just amazing when the 500 people started to sign up, and then they all started to join this Facebook group. At first, I was so embarrassed. I was like, I only have like 3 people in my Facebook group. Like, I can't show them that I have no one, Yeah. And this is the complex I think about joining, social media late in the game is like, my organization was like 5 years old and I have no social media following at the time. That was the feeling. And right. So I remember your advice saying like, hey, just people will understand, just give the 3 and the 12 and the 15 people their value. And that's what they care about, not how many people are there. Yeah. I remember that advice from you. And within days, there was hundreds of people in there. And it felt like Christmas. Like Julia and I kept looking and being like, oh my God, look at all these amazing people. Like, who are you? It was so thrilling for us, having not really experienced that sort of community that just getting built like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do want to share with the audience that one of the main drivers for you getting that many people is a combination of you promote it to your email list from your summit, right? Which I think is brilliant. So anybody that is planning on doing a summit, I know Johanna just posted in the comments that she's planning on doing a summit, doing a challenge or a series afterwards is like the perfect nurture sequence for your brand new list because they don't know you yet. You've been interviewing these other experts. So it's a way for you to spotlight on yourself. So you marketed to your current email list and then you also layered in Facebook ads.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Facebook ads were amazing. Like the people they pulled in were actually the people that I wanted to work with.
Yeah.
That was a little surprising to me because I'd boosted posts before and things. And sometimes it's all, then I get 17 comments all in other languages that look like formulas or bugs or something. Like it didn't look real. They didn't look like the Facebook ads were reaching real people.
Yeah.
But this time with your help and really targeting, I was targeting very specific people with very specific interests, and it was really producing just the people I want to work with.
That's amazing. Yeah. Which all came down to the ad copy, the graphic that we used, and then also the targeting. So I believe if I remember right, like Daniel Laporte was one of the audiences that worked really well, creating a lookalike audience from your email list. But there was a lot of testing that you did.
Yeah. And It was great. I mean, some of the ads were converting, at $5 and some of them were converting at $1.60.
Mm-hmm. $1.60 a lead. That's amazing.
$1.60. So it was like, that was amazing to be able to produce that kind of result.
Yeah. Yeah. And then let's talk about like the money now. Like, how are you getting clients, from this? What are you selling on the back end and how are you converting them into clients?
Yeah. So one of the things that Julia and I have been doing over the last, year is building our curriculum and experimenting with it with friends and different people and small groups to be delivered over the course of 3 or 6 months as a group program.
Okay.
And
so going from that one-to-one to serving many online, which is a great way to scale your business.
Right. So we didn't have a lot of pressure on ourselves about the group program because we have our one-on-ones. That's our income. That's where we're really getting to work with people intensively. And so we were able to spend some time experimenting. And then this year we actually, launched them open to the public in a big way. And so from the email, from the Facebook challenge, and, it's hard to track, but one of the things that was really amazing is that all of our clients have been referrals. Like 98% of them up until now have been referrals. And in this new group that we have just launched, there's 12 people in the group and 6 or 7 of them are complete strangers from the challenge.
Wow.
So that's really amazing. And so, our program is $1,250 for this 3-month, tell your story group program.
Yeah. So not cheap.
Yeah. And so, an early bird was $997. And so a lot of the boot campers got in to the group program for the $997 price. And, it's just starting, but I'm so excited to see what they're going to be able to do because they already did such good work in the boot camp. And so we understand that they're hard workers. We when we got on the phone with them to talk to them about so the next step we did in the group, in the boot camp Facebook group, was say, okay, now our program's open. Who wants to get on the phone with us and hear what the next step is from this boot camp? Okay.
So you sold it over the phone.
Yeah. And so people just called us up and, or signed up for a call, and we talked to them for, 20 or 30 minutes about the program to make sure it was right for them, make sure they had the time in their schedule to do this. And then they signed right up, and it was
brilliant.
It was incredible. And so one of the things I feel great about is that, yes, they're strangers, but I also know them enough based on being able to watch them in the boot camp that I know they're going to succeed in our group program. And that's my biggest hesitation about one-to-many is that I don't want to run a group that half the people aren't doing the work.
Right.
I'm interested in that. That's boring for me. And
right.
That's why I started this company. Like, I started this company so that my clients can shift culture with their stories and shatter stigmas and be more of who they are. So those are the people I want to work with. And so having the challenge let me see what kind of people they were and how hard they were willing to work, and a free thing makes me know that they're going to succeed in our program.
Yeah, that's great. And I think also that's really smart, especially when you're brand new online. So many people they want to stay online. I'm going to sell it from a webinar. I want it to be automated. And you went for the phone. And I think that's super, super smart because it allows you to really practice and hone in on your sales skills. And if you can sell over the phone, then selling on webinar, you're going to have a higher close ratio of selling over the phone. And it also really gets you to talk and connect and figure out, is this the right person that's going to succeed in this program? Especially if it's the first time running a group program, you want to have testimonials. You want to have great case studies, right?
Right.
So I think that's just brilliant, and just encourage everyone that's tuning in to not be scared to get on the phone. And that is the fastest way literally to be able to get clients, is getting them offline and onto the telephone.
Right.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for this and for sharing your story and your experience. And, I'm just so proud of you and for getting visible and getting out there and doing this stuff that was totally uncomfortable, and you rocked it out. And what's next for you?
Yeah. So I think what's next for us is, now that we're so comfortable on Facebook Live, because we did the challenge live in our Facebook group, is we realized, oh my gosh, we have so many more people that we want to host on our page and within our groups that, our mentors and people we didn't interview in our first summit, but we want to just take it live and start building people, start building the following that way. And then we're getting ready this fall to do a 6-month, Story Academy, which is going to be a more robust group program. And we're so excited about that. And so we're going to be doing another challenge coming up really soon. September 11th is when it launches. And yeah, so you have just totally changed our willingness to be online. And, you know, Julian, right before I was getting on this, he was like, send my love to Devani and tell her that I think she's so amazing. He was like, the fact that you were able to like create all of that stuff that looked so amazing and tech professional was so great. So
well, thank you for being so coachable and doing the work. And it was so much fun. And I'll be sure to drop a link in the comments for your website. So people, if you want to learn speaking and get on the bandwagon with that, Heather's your girl. And I'll also drop a link too for the Launch Your Online Challenge course if any of you are interested in that as well. So thank you all so much for being here, for your comments, sending you all lots of love. And thank you again, Heather.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.